Well, hello everyone, how are you doing this fine day? Hope you're enjoying your week. Welcome to another survival challenge, in particular, a Cyberpunk 2077 survival challenge. Guess what, everybody? I made a poll. I asked you, the people, what challenge you wanted to do. I had 4 options on there. You guys voted, y'all made y'all's voices heard, and let me know y'all wanted some Cyberpunk. And if you're watching this video right now and you're thinking to yourself, well, hold up, I didn't even know there was a poll. I would have liked to vote it. I wouldn't have voted for Cyberpunk. Well, you know what? Maybe you should pay more attention to the community posts. Sorry, but I'm not really sure what you want me to do about that. It was there, open for everybody to see and vote. Maybe next time. So like always, this is not the first Cyberpunk challenge that I've done. And instead of spending half of this video telling you everything you need to know about Cyberpunk, I already did that in the first video. Just go back and watch the first video. I'll put a link in the corner of the video somewhere right here, probably, maybe, if I remember. If you don't know jack shit about Cyberpunk, you might want to check out that video. It tells you everything you need to know for the purposes of this challenge. If you already know about Cyberpunk or you just don't care and you want to watch this video confused, you can do that too. That's an option. And we're going to take 4 random ass characters from different series, chuck them into the Cyberpunk universe, and just talk about exactly what they might do and how they might go about surviving in this new world that they find themselves in. If you enjoy the video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and join the membership. Remember, if you join the membership, you get videos early. Don't forget there's a Discord link in the pinned comment where we have D&D sessions, art competitions, debate streams, and all sorts of other fun activities. Go on down there. It's also a guaranteed way to get notified directly about different stuff that the channel's doing. But I've wasted enough of your time. Let's get started. First up on the chopping block, we have Jax from Mortal Kombat. I'm gonna try my damnedest to not roast the shit out of Mortal Kombat. It's something that I struggle with. So Jax was a highly skilled and decorated soldier for the US military who was sent to the island where the first Mortal Kombat tournament resided in order to not only figure out what was going on there, but to also catch the infamous criminal known as Kano. Once he got to the island, a bunch of bullshit happened, and he ended up losing both of his arms. These arms were then replaced with super badass cyborg arms that didn't really seem to empower him all that much, to be honest with you. Like, before he lost his arms, he was equal in strength with all the people that he fought against, like Scorpion, all these different characters. They fought on par. You give him cyborg arms, you would think he would get a massive strength boost, and all of a sudden he would be like way stronger than all the other characters, since they were kind of equal before that. But no, they're still kind of equal. No character is shown to be considerably stronger than any other character in terms of physical strength. So I guess they just gave him robotic arms that are like the same strength of his previous arms. They did have some cool stuff, like they could shoot little rockets and stuff, but for the most part, they're not shown to be any more stronger than anybody else's arms. It's kind of weird, actually. Anyway, the story goes on. Years and years go by. He goes through all these different adventures with these crazy robot arms. And then eventually, he retires, and his daughter, Jackie, ends up joining the military just like he does. And then his whole story sort of shifts from him being this soldier trying to stop all this bad stuff to him really only caring about his daughter's safety and not wanting his daughter to follow his footsteps because, you know, he got his fucking arms ripped off. Kind of understandable for a father to not want his daughter to go through that. The later games show Jax as this very regretful character who regrets losing his arms, who regrets the death of his wife, who regrets allowing his daughter to join the military in the first place, and probably suffering from some form of PTSD due to all of the stuff he's had to go through in his life. And while certainly not the best written character in Mortal Kombat, that would be Johnny Cage, he certainly isn't bad. His story makes sense, and you can see how the version of Jax at the beginning of the games can become the version of Jax by the end. Alright, and then they just throw his entire fucking character out the window and write him an ending where when he gains control of the hourglass, instead of making a wish that makes sense for his character, like his daughter's safety or his wife coming back or anything like that, he instead decides to make a wish that makes life awesome for all black people and just fixes all black oppression issues. Why? Throughout this entire series, I don't think there's a single instance where they even mention the fact that Jax feels any way about oppression. We don't know his opinions on this. The games have spent 0 time talking about them, and then all of a sudden it becomes the crux of his entire character arc and the ending to his story? Why? Because he's black? Let me ask you something, black guys. Are you as sick of this bullshit as I am? Like, are you guys tired of every single story relating to black people that are coming out of Hollywood being specifically about how much it sucks to be a black person? Like 2 weeks ago, I saw Love and Basketball again. It's been years since I've seen that movie, and it was just so refreshing watching a movie where characters were characters that allowed them to be an individual and not link them to some kind of greater arcing societal problem, so that instead of being characters, they were just stand-ins for some kind of greater movement. It's just, Does anyone give a shit about this anymore? I'm legitimately asking. I have no idea. Also, not sure if it's that important, but it seems like it's probably important. The writers and creators of Mortal Kombat are all white. So, there's that. So how would Jax do if you took his character and you threw him on into the Mortal Kombat world? Well, that sort of depends on what version of Jax you're throwing in. Are you throwing in the version before Jackie's born and before he's married, or after Jackie's born after she's married? Because those are two very different characters. If you're throwing him in before Jackie's born, he'll probably just join the police force. And whether or not he survives joining the police force is going to be entirely based on what kind of criminals he runs into. Because here's the thing, Jax's cybernetics are not as good as a cybernetic in Cyberpunk. And normally that wouldn't be an issue because he could just upgrade his cybernetics, but I don't think he's ever going to do that. And the reason why is because Jax doesn't like his cybernetics. He's not comfortable with them. He never becomes comfortable with them. They cause him PTSD. He links his cybernetics to a horrible memory of him having both of his fucking arms ripped off. Having a constant reminder of his failures attached to his body at all times is not something that he particularly enjoys. So I really don't see him ever willingly ripping out more pieces of himself to replace with cybernetics, which is going to be a necessity if you're going to survive in the Cyberpunk universe. There are characters in the Cyberpunk universe that don't do that, that are just like meat people that have absolutely no cybernetics in them, but those people don't have jobs that specifically put them in harm's way. There's like a salesman, and there's some monks who don't believe in violence and things like that, but they're not police officers and military men and people who have to get in gunfights constantly. If Jax joins the military or the police force in Night City, he's gonna be going up against characters with Sandevistans, with like massive adrenaline abilities, with fucking armor under their skin that makes them bulletproof. He's gonna have to deal with cyber psychos who can kill 20, 30 people with ease, and he's really not gonna be able to deal with this at all. Jax isn't even shown to have any resistance to hacking. Netrunners are very common in Night City, not only on the police force, but also in the criminal underworld. If he goes up against even one Night Runner, he will instantly be shut the fuck down, and he won't even be able to use his arms. In Night City, it is a casual feat for characters to deflect bullets out of the air with a fucking sword if they're shot at them. These are bullets from sniper rifles and automatic rifles and all sorts of shit. Jax isn't that fast. Honestly, I don't even think Jax is as strong as they are. In Cyberpunk, there's a cybernetic called Gorilla Arms. They're basically big-ass metal arms just like Jax has. But unlike the ones Jax has, these allow them to pry open and rip off giant vault doors off the hinges. Vault doors that are meant to keep people out. These are very, very powerful arms. And this is a cybernetic that is not particularly expensive and is actually rather common. By comparison, when you look at Jax and what he's capable of, his strength feats are really shitty. I mean, all of the best strength feats that you can give him are, one, again, all strength feats you can give basically every other character because they match it, but also, they're not even canon. Like, say if you count the Test Your Might little minigame, right? If you do that, you can karate chop an anvil into pieces. That is super fucking impressive. That's a lot of force to crush an anvil. I would say that easily surpasses your basic gorilla arms. The problem is, they're not shown to have that level of strength in the actual game story. That's only in the minigame. In fact, it doesn't even make sense they would be able to do that. We see multiple characters in Mortal Kombat being killed by basic bitch pistols. If you can be harmed by a pistol, you can't karate chop a fucking anvil. Do you know what a pistol does to an anvil? Nothing. Literally less than nothing. You wouldn't even chip the fucking thing. If a character in Mortal Kombat can be killed from a gunshot, which they can, we see it multiple times, and then they hit the top of an anvil with enough force to shatter it into pieces with their arm would just splatter across the top of the anvil. It would just turn into fucking paste. Even if they were bulletproof, that still wouldn't be durable enough to shatter an anvil. And that's kind of the way it works across Mortal Kombat. There's all this non-canon shit that shows this unbelievable levels of power. But then when you actually look at the story and what happens in the story of the game, it's really shitty. They're like kind of slightly advanced people. Jax is also arguably less skilled at fighting than they are. This isn't shown in 2077, but this is canon, that in the Cyberpunk universe they have these little chips, and they slip these chips in the back of their head, and it basically teaches them any skill they want to learn. So you could be a totally unskilled, shitty person, and then all of a sudden you put in a little chip in the back of your head, and now you're a master of taekwondo and karate, and you can fucking wield a samurai sword like master samurai sword wielders. You can literally download any knowledge you want to download in your head. This means that the one thing Jax got going for him which is his martial arts ability, potentially he doesn't have going for him, because literally any old asshole can have just as good, if not better, fighting skills than he does with just the slip of a chip, something he can't do. They're really not all that. They're not particularly fast, they're not particularly strong, they're not particularly durable, and they'd be completely wiped out by anyone they came across in the Cyberpunk universe. So yeah, Young Jax is fucked, because there's just no way you can convince me that someone who suffers from PTSD because of that shit that happened to him is going to suddenly willingly start putting a bunch of cybernetics in his body. That's not happening. But how is older Jax gonna do? He's gonna do fine, because he has absolutely no interest of being involved with any form of violence at all. He'd go retire somewhere. He'd probably be miserable and hate his life, but he's not going to join the police force or go fight a bunch of people. He's just not gonna deal with it, and that'll be that. I mean, I wouldn't want to watch that movie because it'd be super, super boring, but he'd survive. So that's something. Next up, we have Nathan Rad Spencer from Bionic Commando. As far as characters concerned, there isn't a whole lot to talk about with Nathan, so I'm not really gonna go into what decisions he'll make or anything like that. He's not that kind of character. He's your generic soldier character that is very heavily inspired by 80s action heroes. You can tell just by looking at him. His design was clearly taken from Arnold Schwarzenegger. So at the end of the Cyberpunk universe, he'd probably just join the police force or the military or Max Tech or something like that and just fight, because that's what he does. Fight to defend the innocents and all that kind of stuff. He's an 80s action hero, you get it. So really the only question we're left with this character is, how would they do physically in the world of Cyberpunk? And they do pretty good. They do pretty good. So technically, Nathan only has one piece of cybernetics. He has his bionic arm, and that's it. The rest of his body is supposed to be just a normal human dude with normal human ability. That's bullshit, but that's what the game claims. The game does this thing that a lot of fictional universes do, where it's like, okay, we're gonna give him a robotic arm, so that means he can lift up this fucking 3-ton car and chuck it across a city. We're not gonna think about the fact that that would snap his goddamn spine and legs in half. Nah, don't worry about that. He can just do it because the arm is robotic. He can walk up to this massive stone pillar that's like fucking 8 feet in diameter and just punch through it, and the pillar just shatters into a million fucking pieces. Let's not think about the fact that he doesn't have the leg or back strength to actually stand there and punch without having him be flung 20 feet back and probably shatter his whole shoulder chest area. No, he's got the robotic arm. That's all that matters. We'll have him swinging around the city like fucking Spider-Man with this chain hook thing, but at the end of his swing, he can just let go, allow himself to drop 4 stories, land on his feet, and not have his kneecaps explode and shoot up through his shoulder blades. No, this makes perfect sense. While the game does say that it's just his bionic arm and everything else is human, he's not. He is clearly advanced in some way. And as far as those advancements go, they're pretty good. In terms of strength as well as durability, he's up there with some of the most powerful people in Cyberpunk. As I said, he has no issues with lifting a car and chucking it. He's been hit by rockets and fought against tanks and fights small armies by himself. He has a bunch of nanomachines inside of his body that actually regenerate and rebuild his body once his body gets damaged. He has a fake eye that allows him to scan for technology, and he can pick up that technology and tell exactly what that technology is, and it gives him all sorts of information of the type of enemy that he's about to fight against. He's got a lot of stuff that you would see in the Cyberpunk universe. That doesn't include all the crazy weapons he has. Like, he has a flame ball gun that shoots like 3 separate flame balls that go in 3 different, it's like one shot, but it's 3 different flame balls that's like in a fanning motion out in front of him. He has like this lightning gun that shoots slow lightning. It's like a ball of lightning, but it's slow. I don't know how you do that, but he does it. He's got rocket launchers and Gatling guns and automatic rifles and all sorts of other stuff. All the normal type stuff that you would think he would have, he has. So the question then becomes, how would he do if you put him in the Cyberpunk universe? And for the most part, he would do well. Like I said, in terms of durability and physical strength, he's up there with the top tiers, not the top tiers. He's not beating Atom Smasher, he's not beating V. Some of the absolute best, he's not quite there in terms of physicals, but the majority of the universe, he's gonna do pretty well against. The only thing that he's really lacking in is speed. Again, even people without Sandevastans are capable of reacting to and deflecting bullets out of the air with a fucking sword. Spencer just isn't that fast, and while he could upgrade himself and give himself a Sandevastan, there are a couple issues with that. For one, Sandevastans are incredibly expensive and most people can't get them. Your average asshole soldier or cop is not going to have that bit of technology. Even if he were to get it and install it, he would still be outclassed by other characters with Sandevastans, since his base reaction speeds are nowhere near theirs. So they still wouldn't be on even footing. So there really is no getting around it. His speed will always be an issue. Now, Does this mean that he can't survive in the Cyberpunk universe? No. Like I said, his physicals are far superior to most people in Cyberpunk other than like the top tiers. I'm not one of those people who say this character's faster than this character so they auto win. That's something that I see a lot of people who make these types of videos say, like, oh, if you're just getting blitzed by people, you can't do anything. No, that's not how fights work. You can have slower people beat faster people. You can have faster people beat slower people. Happens all the time. Spencer is slower, that's a fact. But with his healing abilities and overall physical superiority, unless he's going out of his way to challenge fucking Atom Smasher V, he'll be okay. He'll be able to survive. He'll do fine. Just don't get a big head and decide to go over your station and start challenging the most powerful dudes in the whole universe. And honestly, there's really nothing in Nathan's character that would make me believe that he would do that. In his own game, he just works for the US and goes after eco-terrorists. It's a pretty simple premise for a character. He will very likely do something similar here. Join some kind of military outfit somewhere, whether that be for the new United States or Texas or Night City itself, and, you know, he'll do fine. Not thrive, for sure, not be the best of the best of the best of Night City or anything like that. And while it's true his speed is ass in Cyberpunk, his mobility isn't. Not very many people have a fucking claw that you can Spider-Man your way through a city. He'll be able to get around pretty quickly in a way that counterbalances his speed deficiency. He'll be fine. He's good. Next up, we have Master Chief from Halo. And I understand, Master Chief is not a cyborg. I get it. That's why it says sorta. Having said that though, there are a lot of people online that believe this motherfucker is a cyborg. Go look up top 10 greatest cyborgs in gaming. Go look up, there's like 50 lists out there. Almost all of them have Master Chief on it. Many of them has Master Chief as #1. So it's a pretty common thing that people believe this motherfucker's a cyborg. I had to ask around to several different places on several different opinions of whether or not who believed he was a cyborg and who didn't, and I kept getting all sorts of answers. Like, people could not agree on whether or not this guy classifies as a cyborg. So, because of that, I'm just gonna use him anyway. I don't care. So, how would Master Chief do in the Cyberpunk universe? So, this one's actually really interesting as far as character is concerned, because Master Chief is a guy who's kind of always known exactly what he had to do and where his place in the world was. He was trained from childhood to be a soldier and to serve the UNSC. He has always known that that is his place in society. The UNSC, for the most part, are the good guys, and he has to protect them, protect humanity against anyone outside. There's a little bit of gray area here and there, but for the most part, he knows where his place is. So, what were to happen if you were to take this guy and put him in a world where that doesn't really exist? It's not just that the UNSC doesn't exist, but there is no similar equivalent. Like, there's no good guys for him to work for. He's a soldier. He fights as a soldier for a military, for a country. But all of the countries in the Cyberpunk universe are fucked. There is no good army that fights for good people to defend against outside forces. Like, if he lived in Night City, what army is he gonna fight for? Arasaka? I fucking doubt it. Arasaka are pieces of shit. And I don't think Master Chief is dumb enough to see them as not being pieces of shit. It's pretty obvious. Everybody. You fight for the Texas military, the new United States military, they're all, to at least some extent, pretty fucked up and not caring of the average man. So what the hell would Master Chief even do? Is he gonna become a solo? Which in Cyberpunk, that's like a mercenary. I don't really see that happening either. But that's kind of the best thing he can do, is to become a merc, but only take jobs that he sees as morally acceptable. Chief just isn't a morally gray character in the same way that someone like V is in Cyberpunk. He's a good dude who wants to fight for the good guy. But there aren't any good guys in Cyberpunk. Everything about this man's belief system and morality is going to be tested if he goes into the Cyberpunk universe. I honestly don't know what he would do, but I think that's kind of exactly what his story would be. I think he would question what he would do next. He would have to do some serious soul searching and kind of figure out a way to move forward with his life in a world where his purpose no longer exists. It would be a fascinating storyline, but I have no idea what direction it would go in. I do think by the end of the story, becoming a solo is really the best he can do, because at least in that way, he would be serving his own morality, and he could choose to take jobs that he himself accepts on a moral level, as opposed to just working for some random asshole who has him doing all sorts of evil shit that he's not going to do. Like, maybe he would initially join Arasaka at the start, just believing that they are kind of the current military that are in charge, and then in his first or second mission, realize that they got him doing some really fucked up shit, and then go against Arasaka, and then that might be his whole story about him basically going rogue against Arasaka and leading to some sort of revolution. That can maybe be a cool story. But yeah, I don't see him just like soldiering on like he would in Halo. It's just, I just don't see that happening. So in terms of strength, he's really, really strong. We see in one of the novels, he just straight up flips a tank over. That's pretty impressive. Most characters in Cyberpunk can't do that. Only like the top 2 or 3 tiers are capable of doing something like that. So in terms of his strength, he's going to be up there. A lot of people like to talk about how fast he is and how impressive his speed is because he can move as a blur and all that shit. That's nothing to Cyberpunk. He's way too slow to compete with the fastest characters, like not even close. And most of his weapons aren't really anything that's way more impressive than anything that Cyberpunk has. Some of the Forerunner weapons are, but I don't think that that's enough to like put him over the top to just be completely dominating the whole universe just because he has some weapons that are more impressive than what you would see in Cyberpunk. All of their guns would be able to damage him as well. His armor is not too durable for their guns to get through. And while his energy shields are going to help him a little bit, again, it's not going to be something that they just can't deal with. It's just going to take a few more shots than normal. You would still have characters like Atom Smasher being significantly more powerful than Master Chief as far as physical ability was concerned. I mean, this dude did shrug off a gravity weapon that has been calculated as being more powerful than being in the epicenter of a nuclear explosion, and he just like didn't care at all. Like the Force was capable of pancaking a tank and pushing solid rock deep down multiple feet, but didn't even bring Smasher down to his knees. Like he was still standing, he was fine. So then the question becomes, could Master Chief just upgrade himself with cybernetics of the universe? And again, you have the same issue. Master Chief is not mechanical. So replacing his arm with a mechanical arm will not increase his strength further. It will just replace whatever previous strength he had with now this robot arm. So unless he somehow acquired access to cybernetics that were superior to that of Atom Smasher, which the only way he'd be able to do that is if he made some serious connections with some seriously fucked up people, and also came into an insane amount of money, which as a solo would only be possible if, again, you do a bunch of fucked up shit. If you're not willing to do all kinds of fucked up shit and commit crimes and stuff, you can't make a whole lot of money in Night City. So I just don't see it as a very viable option that he's going to be able to close that gap between him and the absolute top tiers of Cyberpunk. So really the only thing he has in order to overcome that is, and for fans of Halo, they're probably waiting on this, Cortana. Basically an AI who is the god of hacking. Like, she's so amazing, she's such a great hacker, she could literally do anything. She hacked into Forerunner technology and Precursor technology. She's just computer Jesus with titties, basically. And I'll be honest with you, I have a couple of issues with this. I'm not saying that Cortana isn't like super advanced AI that can hack a bunch of shit. Yeah, it is. But it seems like the only reason why people say this about her is because she's capable of hacking Forerunner technology and Precursor technology, which is super advanced technology. That's true. The problem I have with this is that we never really see just how advanced their hacking defenses are on all of their technology. It's just assumed that it's really, really fucking good because they're precursors. I mean, yes, it's true that other AI within the Halo universe are not capable of hacking into their stuff, but yet Cortana is, so she's clearly very good. But again, like, we just don't go into detail of exactly how difficult this is to do. We just know it's something that the Halo universe isn't capable of doing. I guess the assumption here would be that because the Halo universe is more advanced than the Cyberpunk universe, that their hacking technology should also be more advanced. But I don't know if I can agree with that. Because while, yes, I agree that the Cyberpunk technology is not as advanced as Halo, they go into way more detail about just how advanced the hacking technology is, and it's fucking impressive. There's a lot of cool shit that you can do in hacking with Cyberpunk that they do not show you being able to do in the Halo universe, like at all. Just to give you an example of some of the shit they can do, there are AI within this game that can turn a person's mind into raw data. Their mind's not like computer. It's not already data. It's just a regular fucking brain, and they can hook their nervous system, their like biological brain, into a computer, and then some of these AI, these rogue AI, can actually turn that person's biological brain into data, ones and zeros, and completely turn them brain dead. That's something that they can do in the Cyberpunk universe. There's this AI called the Black Wall, and yes, the Black Wall is a singular AI that was created by Netwatch, and it was specifically created to single-handedly hold back every rogue AI in existence and hold it on the other side of this Black Wall. It is stated that if the Black Wall were to ever fall, all of these rogue AI would get up and they would just fucking dominate the entire world and no one would be able to stop them. But this singular AI is capable of holding them all back by itself. Now, they do say that this is a band-aid solution because the Black Wall is an AI that could at some point, and they believe that it will at some point, become a rogue AI in of itself because it just gets sick of fucking doing this shit for them. So it will inevitably fail, but not because the Black Wall gets beaten, just because the Black Wall joins the bad guys. So within the Cyberpunk universe, there is one single AI that is capable of holding back and stopping literally countless, trillions, quadrillions, however many you want, just literally countless rogue AI that exists within the net by itself forever as long as it wants to. And the funny thing is the Black Wall is not considered the most powerful AI. The most powerful AI is Alt Cunningham, who Alt Cunningham was originally like a regular woman who was a extremely skilled netrunner, but then she died and then her mind got melded with this other AI. So now like Alt Cunningham isn't really Alt Cunningham, she's this engram, but she's like a super powerful engram and she's capable of going beyond the Black Wall and coming back and vice versa without any issues. And she, much like Cortana, is basically an AI god that can do pretty much anything in terms of hacking. You have characters in Cyberpunk 2077 that are not Alt Cunningham and not the Black Wall that are capable into hacking into things that do not have wireless connections, ergo should not be possible to be hacked into. Just like basic pieces of technology, like being able to hack into a fucking toaster or something that doesn't actually have a computer part that you should be able to hack into. Now, to be fair, this is something that Cortana can also do, but I'm not standing here arguing that Cortana would be outmatched by Cyberpunk. What I am saying is that the idea that Cortana would instantly overcome Cyberpunk is not necessarily the case. Cyberpunk actually has far more feats in terms of hacking because hacking is a much larger part of the universe, and they've just shown to be able to do a lot more impressive shit than just, oh, they hacked into this very advanced species, but this advanced species hasn't really shown that much shit in terms of hacking, so it's like, I'm not even sure how impressive it is. I get it. The Forerunners and Precursors, very impressive. They can essentially alter reality, and their technology is so far beyond normal technology that it's like, it doesn't even classify as technology anymore. It's like some sort of low form reality warping. I get it. That's got nothing to do with fucking hacking though. What have they actually done hacking wise? We don't know. We never see it. We just know they're really hard to hack into, and that's about it. So why am I bringing this up? Is this even fucking relevant? Like, will Master Chief even come face to face with the Black Wall or Alt Cunningham for this to even be an issue? No, probably not, but he will likely come face to face with Atom Smasher, who is capable of resisting hacking from a lot of these characters. Now, he doesn't resist the Black Wall and he doesn't resist Alt Cunningham, but he does resist Lucy. And Lucy is specifically stated to be a prodigy netrunner who is the most skilled person they've ever seen since Alt Cunningham. Alt Cunningham, again, a god AI hacker. At one point, Lucy tries to hack into Atom Smasher while Atom Smasher was in the middle of a fight, and without even missing a beat, he created a cyber version of himself that jumped into his own subspace, found Lucy in like a split second, and booted her out of his technological realm. Like, she couldn't get inside of him despite the fact that she's the best netrunner that is currently alive in the story. Look guys, it's simple. When your hacking becomes so advanced that you can affect biological function as if it was technological, you have gone beyond the point of what hacking should even be. You are at a peak level to what hacking can even be in fiction. I've had conversations with people who say that Cortana is so advanced that she can overcome Alt Cunningham, the Black Wall, and every single rogue AI on the other side of the Black Wall, single-handedly in a split second. It would be a very casual feat for her. And I'm like, okay, well, why do you think that would be the case? And they all say the same thing. Oh, because she was able to hack into Forerunner and Promethean technology. Okay, well, what are some of their hacking feats? They're just really hard to hack into. Like, they don't have any, that's not enough. And again, I'm not saying that Cortana loses to Cyberpunk. I'm not saying Cyberpunk loses to Cortana. I'm saying that I think there's a conversation to be had here, and I feel like no one even wants to have it because they're automatically assuming Cortana would win. But when you really look at what Cyberpunk can do, it's pretty nuts. There are individual AI on the other side of that Black Wall that could be capable of completely dominating the entire Cyberpunk universe by themselves. And there's an uncountable number of AI over there, and characters like the Black Wall, like Alt Cunningham, surpass all of them combined. There's definitely a conversation to be had here. I honestly think that if you put Cortana in the universe and she jumped into the net, and met Alt Cunningham, she would meet someone who would be a fucking threat. It's not going to be this casual thing people are talking about. And this could lead to fucking problems for Master Chief. I am not sold on the idea that Cortana can hack into Atom Smasher. We've seen the insane resistances he has. He's literally capable of freezing time around him, going into his own subspace and just booting all invaders out of his space. Is it possible that Cortana can overcome this and hack him anyway? Yes, but is it for sure? Not really. There's a lot of crazy shit in Cyberpunk. Now, what I do find interesting is when Lucy was revealed to be as good of a hacker as she was hunted down by Arasaka. They really wanted her ability. If anybody finds out about Cortana in the Cyberpunk universe, Master Chief would immediately be hunted for her. Because while yes, things like Cortana do exist in the Cyberpunk universe, they're rare and extremely valuable. So yeah, just because of that, I think Master Chief might actually be hunted by like everybody, just like Lucy was. Would he be able to survive in that case? Probably not, because if you're hunted by the most powerful people in the entire universe, you're going to be hunted by shit that's just far superior than you are. Like I said, physically, Master Chief doesn't compete with the absolute strongest of Cyberpunk, and while Cortana should compete with the absolute strongest as far as tech is concerned, there are things out there that are questionably just as powerful, if not more powerful than her, and she will become a target to them. Like, Netwatch created the Black Wall. There's no reason why they couldn't create something that was just as strong to go after Cortana. There's a lot of cool and interesting scenarios that this can lead to, but this is one of those ones I'm going to leave up to the comment section, because I don't know. Do you guys think that Cortana just dominates the entire universe, or do y'all think that there's actually a lot of really great AI shit in Cyberpunk that might be kind of competitive? It's kind of hard because you can't measure this the same way you would measure like how much someone can lift. It's hard to measure hacking ability. You just kind of have to look at the stuff that happens. You're like, that's pretty fucking cool. That's cool being able to affect a biological function with hacking. That's impressive. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna leave it up to you guys, but I do think this is an interesting conversation. Last up, but certainly not least, we have Yoshimitsu from the Tekken series. I put him last on the list before I actually started like talking about it and thinking it out. Now that I've talked about it, probably should have put Master Chief here just because of Cortana. But overall, I actually think Yoshimitsu fits in this universe a lot better, and he's physically far superior than Master Chief, so that's kind of why I put him here. But understandably, with Cortana, I think arguably Master Chief could probably do a lot better. Now, having said that, who is Yoshimitsu? What's his whole deal? He is basically a samurai Robin Hood. He's not basically samurai Robin Hood. He is samurai Robin Hood. His whole thing is he is a member of a samurai clan whose whole goal, the whole clan's goal, is to steal money from greedy people who take advantage of the poor and then give that money to the poor. He is literally samurai Robin Hood. And this makes him a lot easier to talk about than Master Chief, because I know exactly where he fits in this universe. Anyone with half a brain cell would know exactly where he fits in this universe. The entire universe of Cyberpunk is just a bunch of greedy assholes taking advantage of poor people and stealing money from them. So yeah, if you throw Yoshimitsu in Night City, he's going after Arasaka. Super obvious that that's what's going to happen. Unlike Master Chief, Yoshimitsu will have zero issues with being known as a terrorist across all of Night City. He is perfectly okay with setting himself up as a bad guy. And also, like Master Chief, he's really, really, really powerful to the point that he would be superior to, if not equivalent to, most of the characters in Cyberpunk. Now, I know some people are going to watch this and think back on some of the stuff I've said about Tekken in the past, where you have characters that can like blow up whole islands and characters who are arguably planet busters, and you're like, well, this is stupid. Obviously, he would dominate Cyberpunk. Well, no, actually, because those Tekken characters that are that powerful, those are just the Mishimas. There is a massive, massive power gap in the Tekken universe between the Mishimas and everybody else. The Mishimas are basically Dragon Ball Z characters. But if you go to the lower tier characters, they're really strong and powerful, but they don't come anywhere near the Mishimas. And when you look at the things that Yoshimitsu is capable of, you start to notice he's a lot closer to the strength of the top tiers of Cyberpunk than he is to the top tiers of Tekken. We see him casually reacting to bullets and deflecting bullets with his sword when fighting characters like Bryan Fury. In fact, just the fact that he fights against Bryan Fury on par means we could probably compare him to most things that Bryan Fury does. Not all. Bryan Fury is shown to be more powerful than Yoshimitsu. Like, for instance, he's capable of just standing there and have a whole helicopter crash into him and explode, and he just walks out of the flames without a scratch. He took a steel beam and threw it through a jet, and the jet fucking exploded. He picked up a tank and just fucking hurled it several blocks away. He's very powerful, and I think if we were to put Bryan Fury in here, he would probably overtake Atom Smasher in terms of just raw physical ability. Possibly. I still think that gravity attack that Atom Smasher took is more powerful than anything we've seen Bryan Fury do. but I think it's close enough that you could say that that would be a really cool fight and would still likely give it to Bryan Fury, simply because Bryan Fury is a very skilled martial artist and is casually like Sandevistan speeds. When you look at Yoshimitsu, he's not as powerful. He is also a cyborg like him, but his cybernetics are nowhere near as powerful as Bryan Fury's are, and this usually plays out with Bryan Fury beating the living shit out of Yoshimitsu. Yoshimitsu has been trying to kill Bryan for many games now and has yet to be able to do it. In fact, I don't think he's ever actually beaten Bryan in a fight canonically. In Tekken 8, in his non-canon ending, he finally does beat Bryan Fury, but he does it by getting a power-up from Azazel that he had locked inside of his sword since the previous game. So even in his ending where he wins, it still shows he can't actually win without this power-up. So yeah, he's not as strong as Bryan Fury, so they're not equivalent there. But he's still casually capable of deflecting bullets with his sword. He's still strong as shit, able to slice through characters like Bryan Fury, who are durable enough to take all kinds of damage. Like, there isn't a weapon on Earth that we see that's capable of damaging Bryan Fury. Like, nothing. Rockets, missiles, whatever. Nothing you do to Bryan Fury kills him. But Yoshimitsu with his sword slices are capable of damaging him. So overall, I think Yoshimitsu, more than anybody else on this list, fits within the Cyberpunk universe really well. Like, I could see Yoshimitsu robbing Arasaka and then having a fight, what's his name, Gojo, in that sword fight. Remember in Cyberpunk 2077, there's that boss fight. You play as V, and you end up having to fight Takamura's friend. I'm forgetting the dude's name. It's like Gojo or Goji or something like that. Anyway, he shows up, and you have to have like a cool samurai fight in that building during the parade. I can imagine Yoshimitsu having a samurai fight with Goji in that building while trying to rob Arasaka. Like, I can imagine so many cool things happening between Yoshimitsu and Arasaka. Also, the fact that Yoshimitsu is a Japanese samurai, it just very much fits the theme as well of Cyberpunk. Like, Arasaka is a Japanese corporation who has massive power across the whole world and kind of shits on everybody, everywhere, on the entire planet. And having this sort of Robin Hood dude from Japan going after the Japanese corporation because of what they've done to the people around the world, it just fits really well. It would literally just be like a classic Robin Hood story being told in this cool sci-fi cyberpunk world. I mean, even against Atom Smasher, I think you have a really fucking cool fight there. Like, I think Atom Smasher is still superior slightly in pretty much every category, but Yoshimitsu is easily more skilled. And it would just be really cool to see this overpowered human tank psycho fighting against a fucking ancient ass samurai cyborg. Like, it's cool. Like, am I alone? Like, that's cool fucking image, right? The only real problem that Yoshimitsu's gonna have is he's not shown to have any defense against hacking whatsoever across his entire series. So really, any basic bitch netrunner in this universe is gonna be able to shut him down and fuck him up in all sorts of ways. Physically, he's good. Hacking, not so much. Having said that, if he's going out of his way robbing Arasaka, I don't think he's gonna have any issues with keeping some of that money so that he can then upgrade his cybernetics to be better at fighting against hacking. Like I said, again, unlike Master Chief, Yoshimitsu doesn't have problems with dealing with like super evil people if it furthers his particular goals. He's not going to see any sort of moral quandary with that. I mean, to an extent he probably will. Like, if he finds out they're fucking human trafficking children or something, then obviously there's going to be some issues there, which is something that V actually didn't give a shit. Well, I mean, he gave a shit, but he was okay with working with people who were doing some super evil stuff. I do think that Yoshimitsu's threshold isn't quite that big, but it's big enough that he'll be able to get decent stuff so that he'll be able to fight with people. And also, he's going to be fine with upgrading the technology that he already has inside of his body because he's already upgraded it in the past. So it's not like, what's the issue? Just make it better so you can fight against the people you need to. Overall, I think this would be a really cool story. Will he be able to topple all of Arasaka? No, of course not. Arasaka basically owns the entire planet. Even if he went in and killed all of the Arasakas, power would just be transferred over to whoever is next in line. It would be like toppling a worldwide empire. It's not going to happen. But I think that he can cause a lot of damage to them and possibly even lessen their influence in a particular place like Night City, because they basically own Night City. So if he could kill a bunch of them, take a bunch of their shit, give that shit to the poor, sort of build this legend about himself as this guy who's trying to help the people, maybe even get some of the people to stand up to Arasaka, people who wouldn't have stood up to Arasaka before, he may actually be able to overthrow Arasaka, specifically in Night City. If he can overcome all the other bullshit like Atom Smasher. I'm still not sold that he would beat Atom Smasher, but it'd be a really cool fight. And I think he has a chance of beating him, which is really all you need. I mean, if you want to write a good story, you don't want to put him up against someone who he absolutely could defeat. You know, you want it to be kind of difficult for him. That's what makes it fun. You know what I should do next time? I should do Bryan Fury. And I just have Bryan Fury meet Atom Smasher. Basically two dudes who are almost the same person. That would be fun. But that's going to be all for me. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and join the membership. Remember, you join the membership, you get videos early. And always remember, y'all stay safe out there, you hear?